Hello, everyone. Welcome to U-Turn today, a podcast where friends and I discuss topics related to our community. Our today's contributors are Alakir Akoy, Achiewa Alier, Aluel Mayuen, and a special guest all the way from Juba, Judith Richard. For those who don't know Judith is our rising star. She's actually a peace builder, a youth activist, and a media personality. She's been using her various platforms to bring youth together and help them find common ground with an aim of increasing their socio-economic and political participation in the country. And Judith was recently recognized as one of the under 40 South Sudanese women leaders, and also among the 100 leading and emerging women in Africa, alongside notable public figures like Jemma Nunu Kumba. We have a big girl in the house. We're so honored, Judith, to have you speak to us and to our listeners about your journey to the top. I hope our esteemed audience will be inspired. Please like, comment, and share this news to reach all the young women and ladies out there who are looking for inspiration. And Judith, congratulations.
Thank you, Rhoda.
Welcome. We're so honored to have you. So I'll dive right to the question. So Judith, could you please tell us how you made it there as a young woman in our male-dominated society? How did you overcome all the obstacles laid all over the place to prevent women from rising?
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you so much. Special thanks goes to U-Turn for availing me the platform to be able to connect with all of you. I know you all are doing amazing work out there. And also the fact that you're able to create a platform for people to be able to share information and knowledge. This is really important. Many times these opportunities are not there, and finding information is quite a difficult thing. So getting back to the question, I studied democracy and development studies, and I also did public administration and management as well. So one thing about me is I have a very high passion of working with communities and relating with people. So my first job was an administrative job, which is supposed to be in an office. And I think I wasn't enjoying that first job basically much because I would love to connect with the communities. And it was with an international organization. I think I worked for only 2 months or 3 months. And then I had to get into another job, which is more like I was doing, it was a gender justice project. But then this is more like you're training women on their rights, issues on gender-based violence. You're working with the police. You're doing so many things, and also working with the chiefs. So like that was when like you understand so much of the information within the grassroots. And each time I go to the community, I learn something new. Yeah, so I use the position where I work to also understand and address some of the issues within the communities. That is one. And aside from that, when I joined the conflict mitigation program, that is now more broader because it's an institution that works with different partners. And in that institution, you also have the chance to come up with projects. And so you can come up with projects based on your relations with people. And also, given the fact that I'm a South Sudanese, I understand the context so well. So sometimes on my free time, I try to connect a lot with different people. I do mentorship for young people. I do counseling sometimes. And also, so the other aspect of the media component is more like giving back to the community. So I have the business focus program. As you know, economic empowerment is very important. And so this is a platform where we discuss, I feature different people or personalities who are doing different business programs because they so basically focus on business ideas, investment, and also conversations around the economy. So every Saturday, I feature different people who share their journey. And the idea is that it inspires someone out there to be able to do something on their own, both men and women. And then now with the live audience of the Daniel, so this is where a lot of young people get a chance to talk to each other or interact with some of the leaders. So if there's a problem and maybe they want to talk to the mayor, we try to bring the mayor, and then young people ask whatever questions that they want to ask. So basically being able to participate in some of the socioeconomic aspects and political aspects of the country, because we know that misinformation is a very, very big issue. And also I use those kind of platforms as well, especially when I travel to the grassroots. I learn different issues, and also try to analyze sometimes issues like if we are fighting about feminism, are we really looking down to the real issues of the women? Are we trying to address some of their grievances? Is that what they wanted? Yeah, because when you go to some of the communities, some of the women actually don't mind about the leadership aspect. They'll be like, okay, our priorities are basically we need food in the house, we need security, our children needs to be safe, and basically if the men want to represent us, that is okay. So how then do we bring some of these women to the table? And there are places where there's no internet, there's no telephone communication. Reaching out actually to the women, it's more like in forums, in markets, in their natural settings. Or sometimes you go to the mountains where they're doing the grinding, or to the boreholes, or to places of water where they're bringing water for the animals. So this is dependent on each culture, because our cultures are not heterogeneous, they're not the same. So you find that in this community it's different, and another community is different. Like in one of the communities, women are the ones to build houses for their husbands, and then in another community it's actually not the same. So sometimes you get to sit down and discuss some of these things. So now on the aspect of the 40 under 40, that's something like through my work, people try to nominate now me through that, like, okay, we know Judith, and then have this kind of information. So this is basically through the different nominations that some people, through your work, you try to inspire somebody out there, and then they get to know, like, okay, so and so is doing something, and we think it should be recognized for this. Yeah. Okay.
Wow. You actually raised very critical point here. So the issue of, the elitism, this feminism, women empowerment movement, we kind of like sometimes see it from this high place. But then there's actually a place that is really less travel, and that is the hard to reach women, like the hardest to reach geographically, administratively hard to reach women. And you brought it out very well that, you know what, this empowerment means different to many women, to other women, right? So it's not like a term that applies to all women. And I really love that. And to be honest, you have actually been very effective with your advocacy. I see you recently on the mountain of Chukdum, and also in Eastern Equatoria, Kapoita, and connecting at a deepest level, wearing attires and blending with women of those backgrounds. So congratulations, and you are really doing the hard work on the ground. We're really inspired. So my follow-up question would be, I know you have done so much. You've done so much in media. You go there and post and inspire people like us who are far to see what is happening on the ground. And you've been very effective. So can you tell us, like, how did you venture into this media? I know your education is public policy, administrative, but now you're actually using media like a technology for social change, right? And not many women are in the spotlight. So how did you decide to get there, and what is your experience like in that space?
One thing that I always tell most of the women is that you don't need to wait to be given the space. You need to get into the space. That's the
By
thing.
force, by fire.
By fire, by force, by anything. So when there's an available space, get there. Ask the question, I need this. And then the aspect of media comes in, like, I have so many experiences, and how do I communicate this to other people? That is the other thing. Yeah. How do I communicate to the rest of the people? I do a lot of work. I do partnership with civil society. I do also partnership. I manage a media project sometimes, and then also we have the trauma component, and then also the bigger component of mainstreaming gender. So it's more gender equity, disability, and social inclusion. And this is where, like, most times I travel to administer some of the tools, understanding basically the local context of what it is. But then having this information, this is more like in the entity I work for. How do I get out there for other people to also understand some of this information that I have? So through my colleagues, the friends I work with, they understand, like, okay, this person has this potential. Can you come and help us host this kind of a program? Then I'm like, okay, that's okay. So I started with the Daniel. So when he opened this platform and he realized the potential in me, and he decided to ask me if I can be his co-host in the program, and I accepted. So most of the times he'll give me actually to host some of the leaders, and seeing that I do well in most cases, it's like, okay, I think you have better way of tackling this than myself. Can you do this with them? So, and after the Daniel, so the media entity decided to reach out to me, like, okay, we have seen you're doing well. Can you come and host this particular program also in our radio? So it's putting yourself out there and marketing yourself, and then also understanding your drives, having all this information. How do I communicate it out there? Where do I get the platform? Why should I keep all this information only for myself than to share also with other people the kind of knowledge that I have? So I think the media aspect is about communication, being able to have the platform to share all the information that I have with other people. Yeah. And also to use it effectively for advocacy. Yeah. That's another thing. Yeah.
When you have all the information, how do
Mm-hmm.
you let it go to the people that need to hear it? Thank you so much for using your voice, for using your platform to reach out. Not many people have the courage to come out, especially as women, and not just being a woman, young women. If you are a young girl, you don't want to be out there. Our culture, expect girls to be a certain way, to be conservative. But here, Judith is telling us that don't be conservative. Go put yourself out. No one can go and call you in your house to come and make the difference in the world. Thank you, Judith. I will give the floor to other ladies to share their perspective. I see Alakiri is very ready here. Do you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you so much, Judith, for sharing a lot about your work and being able to visit these communities where they are. I believe is really important in helping them as somebody at service. You mentioned that the communities are not homogeneous. They're different, they're unique in different ways. But are there any particular challenges they face when you talk to them? Do you see any trends, commonalities that are that actually make a women collective experience in these communities?
Yes, I would say that, yeah, there are challenges that women face, and you look at those challenges, most of it is based on our cultures. In Akobo, issues around Akobo are actually different from issues around Eastern Equatoria, Chukudum, and also Kapoita. So when I had one of my sessions in Akobo, it's quite different. And you'll find that sometimes some of them do not really understand some of the issues. So through the session, they'll be like, okay. I remember at the end of my session in Akobo, the women are like, okay, now with this information, they're going to open up some administrative leadership in board. We are going to fight for those positions now with this knowledge. And then also, meanwhile, in Chukudum, when you talk about issues like inheritance, they'll be like, no, women cannot inherit properties. I remember asking one of the questions, and the chiefs, I asked one of the chiefs, if you have six, if your six siblings in your family, three of you are boys and three are girls, and then it happened that three of you boys produce all girls. Now you want one of your child to inherit your property. What's gonna happen? Here you have your sisters and all your kids are girls. Guess what he told me? It's like, Judith, I'm going to marry and marry until I find a boy. Yeah. So this triggered a very huge debate in the house, because I also got back to him and told him, what if you marry and still they still produce girls? What's gonna happen? So, so at some point we reached a consensus, and then I had to give them examples of women who have made it in life, who are role models despite different odds within communities. Then that's when he's like, yeah, actually there's some sense in what you're telling us. Women do a lot. You find out they're married off, they bring the dowry back to also the male child to marry with it and all that. So it was interesting. After my session, they still continue to the marketplaces having those conversations like, okay. So sometimes it's about illiteracy or ignorance, and also then many times if we are talking about issues about women, we don't bring the real people to the table. That's the other thing. Yeah, because in other locations you find out that some of the chiefs like, okay, we want to engage the women, but then their husbands do not want that. They're either accused of sleeping around with these women, or those women are called prostitutes. So these are some of the challenges. But then if you're having a program, how do you ensure that you bring all these people on the table? If you're talking about friendly space, why would you only have for women? How do you reach out to the men as well if they're having issues? So, and also like, how do you understand the specific needs of the women? Because women are having challenges. Men have the space. They go under the trees to have their political discussions. But then women sometimes walk long distances. How do you ensure that you get there to that particular location to discuss some of those issues? And sometimes they do not want actually close a borehole. They wanted a borehole which will be far away, so that as they are walking there, they can have a chance to discuss about some of their challenges within their households. So how do humanitarian actors or development partners get to understand deeply some of these reasons? And this can be done through research or quick assessment, through the communities, and also the aspect of trying to integrate to the community is very important. So one thing I also look at is the aspect. Food is a very big component of peace building. So when you try to identify with people's culture, there's trust already, and they tend to connect with you deeply on another level and share everything with you. Chukudum is one difficult place, but trust me, I got family there. It's very cold. I had a family that will sacrifice, bring me hot water in the morning, bring me food, bring me tea. So like, I don't have a relative there, but then like based on my connection with the people, they'll want to check on me if I'm okay. They'll want to appreciate me for sharing the knowledge they're not able to get from another person, and also getting it down to their level, trying to bring stories within the community to also help them also look at it at a different way. Okay, so this is what's happening. How do we deal with this? Yeah, and also there's the aspect of rape. Yeah, we had a conversation on also rape. So I was asking them. So they also had to get back to me with questions. So one of the questions is like, how do you report marital rape? Then the women are like, no, you can't report about marital rape. This is your husband. This is something you can just sort it in the house. But then there is the question that based on culture, even if you have your legal husband, before you could have sex, you have to wrestle with him to so that you're not an easy woman. Yeah, so you're very hard to give in. So instead of just giving easily, so they had to do that. But then, yeah, so this still comes to the cultural stereotypes, yeah, that stop women from being themselves. But then how do we ensure that we empower women to have the confidence to beat all these odds within the community, to tell them it's okay to be the way you are. You don't need any external validation to do that. So this could be done through the awareness raising, teaching them, bringing them all into the room for conversations, and letting them come up with the solutions as well. Yeah. Alec, I hope I've answered you adequately.
Absolutely, you went beyond that, and I just want to say I like the work you do, the way you do it, like meeting these women where they are, when they go to the borehole, when they go to the market, and as a young girl growing up in a refugee camp, I can identify with some of those, especially the restriction of being given curfews. You're not supposed to be outside at this time, so we create these little ways of trying to exist as women outside of the household, like going further away to fetch water so we can have enough time to communicate among ourselves. which is like the very beginning of change. You need to talk to people and facilitate these conversations. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, actually, I've seen you're very ready to dive in. Actually, yeah, that idea of, going out, like going to like fetch water and having place for women to have this discussion, I never thought about, but it used to be there, right? It's just that awareness, I didn't have it. Even there were times I relate that very much. There was time, we were prevented from going to watch Filimate. So in Kakuma, because it's at night and like around the evening time, that's where Filimate Lori would come. And I would just wait until that time and ask mom to go to the market, and so that I can have that space to go and hang out with my ladies. So I really thank you so much, Judith. It really evoked those emotions, and those are spaces where women socialize and become conscious about issues that affect them. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Achille, take it away.
Okay.
Judy, I'm really moved with your journey and everything that you just shared. I can relate to almost everything that you just narrated, and I'm glad that you said you don't have to wait for someone to come and give you the opportunity. You have to take yourself out. I have this knowledge that can actually help someone. It doesn't necessarily have to be material. So that's a takeaway from me. And I'm grateful that those of Akwal and Alakir and Aluel and Adit and everyone else is brought me to the spotlight, because I'm only on the spotlight doing other things like fashion, but it should be more about, women empowering and stuff like this, because for sure we have come from a long way as women, and we're still going a long way. And that's why I'm really appreciative of the work of someone like you that has to go all the way into the villages. I follow you. I see you going deeper into the grassroots and these villages and talking to them. It takes courage and humility to do that. Not everyone can do that. So I have a question on that. So we understand that you go to different communities, and these different communities, they have there's a language barrier because they don't speak the same language as you. So how do you make sure that you convey your message to the audience that are going to listen to you? How do you make sure that you convey the message and they understand what you are trying to tell them?
Okay. It's very true that most of the communities I go to, these are communities that do not speak my language. In fact, all of them. In Akobo, you find it's Nuer. You go to Chukudum, it's more Didinga, the Swahili. It's mixed up. You come to Kapoita, it's Toposa and all that. And then I'll be going to Pibor, which will be also a different one. So one thing I do is that there are local partners, people who are already working at the grassroots level. So when I go to conduct my trainings, I make sure that I get somebody, a local person who is trusted in the community, someone who connects deeply with the community and is also respected. So one thing I do is to administer the tool first with this person. Go through the tool, make the person understand, so that if I'm facilitating, he's actually translating the right thing in the local language. And apart from that, also, the tool I also use for facilitating has some kind of pictures that are actually, that speaks for themselves. So even if someone is not translating it right, but then you can see the picture like, okay, actually, this is the thing. So when it comes to issues of maybe excluding the disabled people, issues of gender-based violence, you find a man is beating a woman, and then if beating a woman, you put cross. And then where people are talking about it, you put a tick. So someone would basically read within the lines, okay, this is wrong and this is right, as the other person translates as well to the communities. Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, that's effective. Yeah. That's effective. You ready for your work, I can see. I have another question. This was my first question. So okay. I understand that you are a member of Young Global Leaders Network in South Sudan. And this is an organization that have gained popularity of Africa. I remember one of your youth leader traveling across Africa to talk on behalf of South Sudanese youth in participation, in leadership participation. So, and I've seen you are a member, you're part of it. So could you briefly explain what you do in these organization? What is your role as a woman, and how do you make sure that the women are empowered through your work or through this? Because I understand this organization, it's for the youth, women and men both. So how do you make sure that the women are equally presented?
Yeah, okay, that's a very good question. Talking about the Young Global Leadership Network, this is more like also working with the young people, both men and women. And also, I'm more like the coordinator for the organization. But then we do different components of mentorship also for young people. We go to the schools, organize debates, essay writings, and then you sit down to do some judgment. And I think since you've been following me, there's this popular name called Madam Chairman. This is
Yeah.
how I got the name actually from one of the schools. So I was moderating one of the debates, and since people are used to seeing the chairperson as a man, so these ladies will come and like, thank you, Madam Chairman, and then starts addressing that. But then we bring in conversations and also try to break some of the stereotypes that some of these positions are not only for men, women can also hold some of these positions. And not only that, we also do some state visits within the country to learn and share information out, outside Juba as well. Learn, interact with young people. We make it more fun, but then within the fun, how do you share information with the people out there? Maybe talk about peaceful coexistence. What are some of the challenges? Why are people fighting? How can we live together? How can we address some of the issues facing young people and women within the community? How does your culture look like? And then being young people, how can you be at the forefront to actually tackle some of these issues? Talk to the elders or maybe your community leaders within your communities, because some of those issues don't need to come to Juba. We have the state structures within the communities. How then do you work collaboratively with them to tackle some of these issues? And then also the aspect of collaboration now with Juba, if the issues are more difficult, how do you connect with Juba to strengthen advocacy as well? Yeah.
Okay.